He writes, much of life is shaped by a subtle expectation that something will eventually give you the happiness or fulfillment you long for. Be aware of this expectation as it appears. All right, well, we all know where Rupert is going with this, right? I mean, the subtitle of the article is, No Experience Can Give You the Happiness You Seek. What does that mean? I mean, should I just stop doing what I'm doing now? Should I just give up and give in? I can't. My diamond is relentless and badgering me into doing this. But I don't know. Let's give it a shot. All right? We'll stop here. Not just much of life, I'd say all of life is shaped by the pursuit of happiness. Either implicitly or explicitly, we do things that make us happy or that we think will make us happy. Like Rupert says, we seek objects, relationships, and experiences outside of ourselves in order to be happy, instead of realizing that we are the happiness we seek. The title of one of his books, which I'd highly recommend. Rupert Spira is a non-dual spiritual teacher that tries to get us to realize our true nature, who we really are beyond the appearance of this separate self, of the finite mind or limited mind, the ego that we think we are. And this is supposed to lead to a lasting happiness or an imperturbable peace. I mean, the title of that article on his Substack is The Gravity Well of Peace. But I question some of this. Okay, let's see what the article says. He writes, sense the underlying feeling that something is missing, that something needs to change before happiness can be present. Notice the expectation, even the demand that your life circumstances or future experience will supply what is lacking, as though something needs to be added to your life to feel complete. I mean, yeah, that's the whole point of pursuing things, to fill in the gaps of what you're lacking, to pursue what you don't have, to go after and get what you want. That drives us, that compels us to act. And I think that's necessary. Otherwise, will we not do anything? Will we not feel impelled or compelled to even get up in the morning and do anything at all? Now, I know what Rupert's contention is to that, but let's see. Let's continue reading. What you seek is not a temporary state of peace or joy, but a lasting peace, a deep happiness that runs through all experiences and remains present irrespective of changing circumstances. Now that would be great, but would that make us complacent? And I guess with all my spiritual training lately, I know how to access that. If I'm too stressed out or distressed by any circumstances or events in my life, I can return there to the source of who I really am. Now, that may be the ultimate truth of who we are, but in this relative world of duality, of subject and object, of acting in the world, nothing and nobody can give you this happiness, nor need they. It is already present in your being. It cannot be given and it cannot be taken away. You can be reminded of it, and at times its remembrance may be evoked by a person or teaching. Yet, as this becomes clear, reliance on such reminders naturally fades. Sure, and that would be great, that type of unconditional happiness or imperturbable peace, as Rupert would call it. But at times, we can return there with this knowledge, with this realization of who we really are, of this non-dual reality, of this non-dual pure consciousness that we all really are. But we can't remain there. I still contend that we can't remain there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be driven to do what we do. I wouldn't be driven to take my son out, spend time with him, taking him to his practice right now and then another practice later for tennis, and enjoying my time with him. It's wonderful. It can be stressful at times, and he can be stressful. Nothing and nobody can give you this happiness. Yeah, if I were to rely solely on my son providing me the happiness that I seek, I'd be sorely disappointed all the time. I get that, and yet I still try to make him happy. I still try to do things with him for both of our benefits, even though it can be difficult.
In the article, Rupert writes, each time you return to your being, you settle more deeply into it. In this settling, a natural gravity well of peace gathers within you. At first, you may touch this peace from time to time, but gradually it becomes your ground, your home, your sense of identity. You live there as that. You may still engage fully in the world, but no longer as a source of happiness. But where would that drive to engage with the world come from then? Besides my ordinary pursuit of happiness, I'm driven by my diamond, my inner being. Doing the diamond's will can be considered spiritual, and I may be less egotistically attached to the objects of its pursuit, but I'm still attached in some way. Is it really possible to be unattached to outcomes, unconditionally happy, and yet still be engaged in the world? Even when I'm happy, what motivates me to further action is a dissatisfaction with inaction, and the prospect of fulfillment upon acting, no matter how short-lived that fulfillment is. The allure is not in having what I want necessarily, but in the relief of getting it.
I like when Rupert says in previous places that happiness is not about getting what you want, it's about relinquishing the attachment to getting what you want. And we all realize that when we actually get what we want and we have that sense of relief, that's when we're most happy. But we go after that relief regardless. That's what drives us, that drive for happiness. That is happiness. I agree. The happiness is in the release, in the relief. You no longer use the world in service of your happiness. You allow your happiness to express itself in service of the world. Okay, that's nice. That's very poetic. And as I talked about in my previous videos about being of service to others, of a sacrificial life, that resonates with me. Yet much of life may be spent moving away from the discomfort it carries. Even a glimpse of your true nature may not immediately dissolve it. A faint residue of lack can remain. That type of discontent, dissatisfaction that the Buddha talked about, dukkha. At a certain stage, they are naturally set aside, and attention turns toward this core existential sense of lack, the one that no object, person, or teaching can resolve. Its resolution is found in your own being. That is where peace resides. That is your home. That is what you are. And that may be true. That may be ultimately what we all are. And yet we're also all of this in this relative world of duality, in this struggle and pursuit for things in life. Relationships, yes. Objects, yes. Experiences. What else would compel us to pursue these things? I don't know. Maybe I have to get there first in this resting place of natural contentment and peace within myself at all times, possibly, most times at least, to be able to see for myself how I would act in the world in that type of state of mind, in that type of consistent state of mind. Rupert seems to exude that. He seems to be a good example of that. But I don't know if I would be.
Maybe it's because I'm too much of a Western mind, as Bernardo Kastrup describes in his book, The Diamond and the Soul of the West. It's hard for us to disengage with the world. We want to remain fully immersed in it. And unlike Rupert, I would argue that disengagement can even come with the cost of struggle and suffering. As Bernardo writes in his book, if you aren't feeling happy, it's all right. This is not unnatural. You are not inadequate or a failure, and neither do you have to change it. In fact, he describes his demonic life involving a great deal of suffering. He writes, "My diamond was assertive to the point of near sadism, and today I'm thankful to it for that." And the reason to be thankful is because of the greater good that can be brought into the world when you follow the calling of your diamond. But it's important to distinguish this calling from our own egotistical desires. I talked about a couple ways in my previous videos, but there are two more Bernardo describes. When we're driven by the diamond, it's usually to do something that we're good at, that we have a natural gift for. Nature wouldn't waste time on using inadequate tools to get the job done. And the second characteristic is that we're destined for it. It feels like something we can't avoid, that it's meant to be. We're compelled with intense urge that can't be ignored. And all of nature seems to conspire to help us out in our efforts.
So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Doing all this with my son, for example, does make me happy. I'm not going to deny that. And doing these vlogs makes me happy. I feel miserable when I don't. My diamond is unrelenting in that. Not doing these is not an option. Bernardo's description of a diamond or daimonic life seems to be accurate. I'm relatively good at doing this, and the world does seem to conspire to help me out, driving and supporting me in these efforts. And most importantly, I can't do otherwise. I can't not do this.
Sorry.
Ow!
That was a bad shot.
I think that was a good shot.